Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand and happy Tuesday. On today's show, Ruben Amorim ignored in the January transfer window as it's coming out from Sky that Manchester United will not do any January deals and will wait for the summer for these particular players, and we will get into it in a second. What are your thoughts? Is it right to be patient? We spoke about it a little bit on yesterday's show. Would you take a Conor Gallagher in January? Well, it looks like Manchester United aren't going to do that. If it means that you'd miss out on potentially an Anderson, a Stiller, a Wharton in the summer, is patience a virtue or do we need to move now? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments as well. And also going to be a little bit of news on Casemiro. Some rumours about a contract extension from Manchester United. Going to run a poll on that. If it was on reduced terms, would you offer Casemiro a new contract? He's been speaking in the Brazil camp as well about his form, about applying himself every single day. Is he worth offering a new deal to if it was on reduced terms? Also, some news coming in about the goalkeeper and Amorim's plans for the goalkeeper in the summer and what would have happened if he was left to his own devices. Also, a little bit of input and news from what's going on at Manchester United's recruitment. In terms of recruitment, from their recruitment team, their hand in getting Senny Lamans over the line, and also the potential in recruiting Emi Martinez for Ruben Amorim in the future as an experienced goalkeeper, and also a little bit of news on Joshua Zirkzee as well. Everton want Joshua Zirkzee. Everton have added him to their striker list in the January transfer window. Would you let him go? Would you like to see him playing in the Premier League, or is he too important and should he be given a chance under Ruben Amorim? And of course, the community, get in your comments, let me know what you're thinking, and any questions you want to ask, any topics you want covered, get your super chats in, get your comments in, and let me know, because this is a free-flowing community where we want to get your comments in and have your say as well. But straight away, the poll's in there. Would you offer Casemiro a new deal on reduced terms? Smash your answer in them comments, and yeah, let's get into the show. So we'll circle back to that. I want to start off with let me bring it up here. I want to start off with the January transfer window. So this is a report coming in from Sky Sports. So it's coming in from Rob Dorsett and also Darmesh as well from Sky Sports, and they have said this: Manchester United are not expected to bring in any incomings in the January transfer window as things stand, despite losing players to the Africa Cup of Nations. United are prioritising a new midfielder next summer with Carlos Baleba, Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton, 3 players admired at Old Trafford, and they continue to monitor, though those players are highly unlikely to move in January. What I would say to that is never say never when it comes to getting a player in January. If Manchester United are offered a big enough fee, then potential clubs might actually open the doors. They're going to say now, no, but if a big enough fee was there on the table, clubs will think about it. They will, because everybody's got a price and everybody can be sold or purchased. There's not an absolute no way on this planet. If Manchester United offered a big enough transfer fee, then some of them players might become available very, very quickly. However, I don't think Manchester United will. I think they will wait for the summer. I think they will wait to get the ducks in a row. I think they will wait to speak to Bruno Fernandes about his future. I think they will wait to speak to Casemiro about his future. I mean, there's rumours and reports that Casemiro could be offered a new deal by Manchester United, which is why I've got the poll running. So I don't think Manchester United are going to spend on a big player in January. You never know, they could offer above and beyond for Angelo Stiller in the Bundesliga, doing really well for Stuttgart, but even Stuttgart are doing really well. They want to keep hold of their best, if not one of their best players. And also, Angelo Stiller does play that Bruno Fernandes role, really. So Bruno Fernandes isn't going anywhere in January, so it would kind of be null and void. It'd just be backup, and you've got Casemiro for that, who, according to Manchester United and sources around Manchester United, is not going anywhere in January, even though Casemiro will probably ask for a loan. So I don't see Manchester United doing anything regarding the midfield. Do I think it's a mistake? It's really, really hard to say for me, because I know Goldbridge's opinion on this, and I was watching the 10 a.m. This morning, is the fact that we need to do something. We need to get someone through the door for Amorim, because the only 2 midfielders he really trusts in the team are Casemiro and Bruno, and they realistically only last around 60 minutes per game at their absolute best nowadays. especially in Casemiro. He's usually either got a yellow card or he's looking a little bit fatigued. And I've said what I need to say on Casemiro. I said it yesterday and I've said it on the fans forum. And just to reiterate very, very shortly, he is the glue to that Manchester United team at the moment. He's not the best midfielder in the world. He's been one of the best midfielders in the world at some point in his career, but currently he's not the best midfielder in the world. But he's the only midfielder in that team that can play that role. The deep line midfielder in a pivot in Amorim's system is the only one that can hold it together. He really is, especially if you're going to play Bruno Fernandes next to him. Maybe Manu and Ugarte could do it together, maybe, but they've not proved it. Casemiro and Ugarte probably could work, but they're barely ever given a chance. The only one that can actually work next to Bruno Fernandes, who is a mainstay in that team, is Casemiro. Bruno and Ugarte has not worked at all. Every time I see it, I actually think it's the worst combination. Manu and Bruno probably can only work together towards the end of a game or for periods in games. It's a little bit too open. Casemiro is the only one with the intelligence, the positional awareness and the experience to cover a midfield playing with Bruno Fernandes, who does like to roam. And that's what Amorim wants, clearly, because he plays him every game. And even as the biggest Bruno fan, I can sit here and say Bruno Fernandes, what he would need to work on is his positional discipline. He's got so many amazing attributes, he really does. And even today, I saw a stat that Manchester United themselves published. And the stat was this, right? So it was most clearances for Manchester United in the Premier League. And it was 1, Matthijs de Ligt with 59, way out in front of anybody else. 2, Lenny Yoro with 27. 3, Diogo Dalot with 21. 3, Luke Shaw with 21. So they are both joint. And then next in line was Bruno Fernandes with 20. Right? So it's de Ligt, Yoro, Dalot and Shaw joint, and then Bruno. Bruno's, he's in there with defenders. All of the other players in that list are defenders, and Bruno's in there. So he does get a lot of stick for the defensive side of his game, but you can't doubt his stats. His stats are off the charts in an attacking sense, and he's also providing with defensive contributions as well. His biggest flaw in his game, which I think Amorim should pick up on and work on, by the way. Amorim's got to take some responsibility as well, because he picks him in that position every single week, is his positional discipline. And it leaves the midfield exposed. It will leave Ugarte exposed when he's next to him. It'll leave Casemiro exposed when he's next to him. Casemiro can deal with it the best out of anybody in the team, because he's got the experience under his belt. He's used to playing with him, and he's probably the best centre defensive midfielder we've got. He is the best defensive midfielder he's got. There's no ifs and buts about it, in my opinion. But when you look at that midfield, who are you going to be able to bring in January who's actually going to displace Casemiro and Bruno? You're not really. You're not. They're going to stay together until the end of the season, and then Bruno Fernandes might depart. Who knows? Depends on if we get Champions League football. Casemiro, will he be offered a new deal? Will he leave? If he is offered a new deal, it'll be to be the bit part player that Harry Maguire is. He won't be considered, I doubt he'd be considered a starter this time next year. He turns 34 early next year, and you can already see he's good for 60 minutes and then he starts to fade off, and that's 1 game a week. Who knows if we'll be playing 2 games a week? We better be. We better be in some sort of Europe next season. So we will need to seriously look at replacing them 2 players in the summer. You need at least a successor for Bruno Fernandes that could potentially take the baton from him if he does decide to stay. Ruben Amorim himself publicly said in his press conference last week that Bruno needs to be ready for rotation next season if we're in Europe. If we're playing more than 1 game a week, he's got to be ready for that. He's not exactly in his prime years anymore. As much as he can give everything he has every week, he is in his 30s now, and the legs will begin to get tired, and Casemiro might not even be here, and if he is here, he's going to be a bit part player. So you need to replace them 2 players in the summer. You want to do it with a top quality pairing. My preferred Elliot Anderson is definitely number 1 for me. Elliot Anderson is absolutely class. I watched him again last weekend. He's tearing it up. We're linked to him again this morning. There's talks of a £100 million price tag. Ben Jacobs exclusively said to us last Thursday that he thinks it'll be significantly lower than 100 million. I'm going to ask him more about that on our show this Thursday, so stay tuned for that, the Beth and Ben show Thursday, where we will put that to Ben Jacobs. But Elliot Anderson's got to be in there. At the moment, he's rumoured to be 100 mil. Hopefully, it'll be significantly less. And then there's going to be a Stiller that goes alongside that, or there's going to be a Wharton that goes alongside that, or maybe somebody else might come into the picture. Baleba, I think, will start to fade away from if he doesn't pick up form, which is unfortunate because I do think there's a player in there, but he's not showing it at the moment, and you can't spend that much money on a risk. So do you want to take away from that budget? Because I look at Manchester United and I think we still absolutely, I don't care what reports are saying, reports have played down the fact we're going for a left wing back. We absolutely need a left wing back, without a doubt. Dalot and Dorgu both aren't good enough on that left-hand side currently. Absolute fact that Ruben Amorim pushed for Estupinian and a left wing back in the summer, but we chose not to prioritise it because it was a collaborative effort with the recruitment team. So we will be looking at a left wing back, and we need to get a serious left wing back, a starting left wing back. You need 2 midfielders. That's going to send you over 100 mil. We're also looking at a centre back, and we potentially might need a striker to go alongside Benjamin Sesko, depending on what happens with Joshua Zirkzee. We're going to probably need some sort of second striker or an experienced striker to come in. And then, again, straight away, you're up to 5 signings. So do you actually abandon January, or do you try and sort out a couple of your issues in that window? It's difficult because no club, especially before the World Cup, wants to let players go. High-performing players that Manchester United will be interested in. If United are interested in a player, it should be because they're performing really, really well at the top level. Therefore, if it's a top player, the club isn't going to want to lose them midway through a season. If they do lose them, they're going to put a premium on them. So it is difficult to do deals in January. But if I'm Man United, the midfield and the left wing back is the areas I'm looking at in January, because I think they're the biggest priority. And is there a midfielder on the market we can get? Probably not, without going over the 100 million mark. So can I understand waiting for the summer? Potentially. I actually can. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here and kick off about it. Because if players that aren't up to Manchester United level aren't ready, then I don't want to just buy someone for the sake of it and have them hanging around, and then a year later we're looking to offload them. I don't want to do that. So if there's no Manchester United level midfielder ready in January, I can understand waiting. But the left wing back market, we've got to enter that market. We have to. There'll be something they can do. Where are the scouts? Where are we looking? Harry Armas, he's doing well at Sheffield Wednesday. Are we looking into that? We've got to be looking to do stuff in January. We do, but only if it's the right purchase is what I would say on that. And, I mean, get your comments in down below what you would do. I'm going to come to your comments in a second because I think it's a really interesting conversation. Would you go and pay the premium to get that player in January? Because, like I said, every single player's got a price. Every single one of them. But it's just how much do Manchester United pay. The last thing you want to do is be sat here this time next year, you've gone and splurged in January because you were desperate. You then didn't manage to get the targets you wanted in the summer because you've overspent your budget. And then this time next year, you sat here saying, I wish we would have just saved the money and gone for an Anderson. I wish we would have just saved the money and spent properly in the summer. Now we've got to try and get rid of, I don't know, for example, Conor Gallagher. Say if you brought Conor Gallagher in and he's not necessarily pulling up trees, a year later, we had an obligation to buy for 40 million on that, and that was 40 million out of our budget, and now he's not even really playing for us. You just don't want to be in that situation. You never know. Conor Gallagher might come in and do really well. He's got some good attributes. But do you see him changing the game at Manchester United? Do you see him coming in and being a massive upgrade on what we've got? That's the question I would ask. But there is no doubt about it that Amorim doesn't fancy Manu and he doesn't fancy Ugarte. And that is a problem, because you might not be able to upgrade your starters, your Bruno and Casemiro right now, through Amorim's eyes, but can you upgrade your bench? Personally, I do not think Conor Gallagher's an upgrade on Manu. Amorim might, and then you've got to think about it. I don't see how he could think that, but I think Manu's better. Ugarte, at this moment in time, he just looks short of confidence, and the reports about Amorim not seeing him as the same player that he was at Sporting Lisbon are quite damning as well. So maybe you can upgrade Ugarte, but Conor Gallagher isn't a Ugarte type. They're not the same type of profile. Yeah, he likes to run around and he can get a good interception in, but they are slightly different. And Ugarte was near enough 60 mil, so it's not as easy as some people might think in that aspect. DJ Budge, a member for 21 months, says Bruno should be allowed to leave on on his own terms, not replaced. He's not Man United's problem. He's just finding a suitable club. And Matt MCD says, don't want to pay a premium, only smart deals in January. Yeah, if something smart does come up, absolutely go for it. If a really good striker comes up on a loan, that can benefit Benjamin Sesko. If a midfielder, like a Sabitzer type midfielder, came up on a loan, then I would definitely explore it. But if it's obligation to buys for a player that isn't really the future, then it'd be a no from me, to be honest with you. Ricky Granger says, I like Wharton, but he has missed some game time due to injuries in the last 3 seasons. Simon Cox says, Ugarte looks extremely nervous and worried every time he is on the pitch. Jack Davies says, Ugarte plus cash for Anderson. I mean, there was a report out yesterday, I don't know how much truth there is in it, that Atletico Madrid were exploring a bid for Ugarte. So if you could do some sort of swap deal with Ugarte and Conor Gallagher, would you do it? I mean, it's probably not realistic currently, but I don't see why that wouldn't come into fruition. Ugarte screams an Atletico Madrid type of player. He screams a player that Diego Simeone would love, to be honest with you. If that deal was on the table, would you do it? I asked that question to you guys in the chat. If you could swap Ugarte and Conor Gallagher, do you think that would benefit Manchester United? Currently, Ugarte just... Honestly, I get worried every time he comes on the pitch. And I know there's a good player in there. I'm not absolutely writing him off because I know, because I've seen him at Sporting, that there is a good player in there. But I'm in the same boat as Amorim right now. Amorim's words, according to Laurie Whitwell at The Athletic, were, you are not the same player I had at Sporting Lisbon. And I feel that way. When Ugarte was at Sporting, I wanted United to sign him then. He was fantastic. The duel winning, the energy, the coverage. He was so good, especially in the transition at breaking up the play. And then hurting you in the transition. But right now, he just looks a shadow of his former self. He leaves so much space. He goes man to man, which then makes it so easy for players to get away from him. I think his positional discipline is poor. His touch lets him down often. His press resistance is non-existent, really. But then he shows it in moments. He shows he can get away from a player. He shows he can carry the ball really well. He's a good ball carrier when he puts his mind to it. And then he shows the moments where he can intercept the play. He's got it in him. I just think his confidence is on the floor. And we need players that are ready to come into that team now and just, wear the shirt with confidence. But I feel like that shirt is weighing heavy on him. And I think he's really nervous, like you guys have said, when he comes on the pitch. And Tim Collins said some players just get consumed at United. And maybe he's one of them. Maybe he can't carry the weight of the shirt, because I know that there is a player in there. And Amorim's seen it. He's seen him at Sporting do really well. I know Sporting and Man United are different levels. I know the Premier League is different to the Portuguese league, but there's a reason why Liverpool, Chelsea, United were all chasing his signature before he went to PSG. There is a player in there that is suited, I think, to the Premier League, that can be a destroyer, that can be a really good addition to your squad, but we're just not seeing it at all, and I don't know how long Amorim will give him to prove himself, but I think he's got till the end of the season before United look to move him on. I think if he doesn't show anything before now and the end of the season, he'll be on his way out in the summer, could be on his way out. And you've got to think of it like this as well. We could have a situation in the summer where Bruno potentially might be looking to leave. Casemiro's contract is run out and he might not want to renew. And United want to renew on the wage that he's on. Ugarte's not cutting it and Amorim wants to move him on. And Ugarte wants to go and get game time somewhere else. Manu isn't happy with his game time, so he's looking to leave. Our midfield could be absolutely non-existent. I mean, United are not just going to sit there and go, all the midfielders leave the club, they'll do something about it, but to basically have to replace your whole midfield in one window, I've only seen that happen successfully once, and that was when Liverpool went and got Gravenberch, Szoboszlai and McAllister. Are United's recruitment capable of that? If we are, happy days, fantastic. If we went and got, I don't know, Anderson, a Stiller, and then either a Wharton or a Belabor and did it properly, then you'd look at it and be like, you know what, fair enough, hats off. But will United be able to do that in a World Cup year? I'm not sure. Is that why it's better to start early in January so you at least have one through the door? Yes. But it's really tough to do when clubs don't want to let the best players go, which is the players that we should be targeting, which we are targeting. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that. Would you offer Casemiro a new deal on reduced terms? If someone could just tell me what the results are of that poll, that would be fantastic. 59% say no, so it's really, really, really close there. I'm going to be so real. If Casemiro continues the way he is this season, and I actually think he's doing really well, I think he's one of our most underrated players right now. I know that is a hot topic at the moment. Some people don't think he is doing well. I think he is. I think he's really important to this team. One of the most crucial players to the team right now, to the starting 11 right now. If he keeps going the way he is this season, if it was half of his wage, half of it, so around just over 100 grand a week, I would keep him as a Harry Maguire type player on another year or 2 year deal. It's just whether Casemiro would want to take that, because he probably won't. He'll probably want to go into Miami, might be an option for him. I know him and his family go to Miami quite a lot. I always see it on Instagram. I mean, the fact I know these things is crazy. He might want to go back to Brazil. He might want to go to Saudi. Saudi have been interested. He might not want to stay on that sort of money. He might want to go and get more money somewhere else. But if he could take on that, he'll play for some of the big games. He'll play for some of the European games where it's a little bit slower, and he'll be that leader, that example in the dressing room, because we know he's one of the most professional players, if not the most professional player at the club. It's been widely stated by a lot of people. Then I think for the benefits of the dressing room and the squad, then I would keep him. It just really depends on what the contract would be. Next up, oh yeah, bear in mind, speaking of international football, England versus Serbia, Thursday, 7:45 p.m. on That's Football. Be there or be square. Watch along will be there. Make sure you go and tune in, and you can watch England versus Serbia with Goldbridge. But next, and Anderson might be playing as well, so you can have a look at him. Next on the agenda, I want to talk a little bit about this news coming out from the Telegraph, James Ducker, about Amorim's stance on the goalkeeper in the summer. It's actually really, really interesting. Rob Always United says Casemiro is on more than 200k a week, Beth. Yeah, he's on 350k a week, I think, but it got reduced when we didn't get Champions League. So I think now it's around, I think it's on around 280k a week now, which is still a lot of money. If you could reduce that to like 130-ish, 150-ish, would you take it for Casemiro for another 2 years for what he can give to the club? Or do you just move on? I might be being sentimental. I might be. Keel Robinson says, Beth, he's playing with a non-centre mid in Bruno and Casemiro, who is sluggish with messy tactics. I want to see him with a normal centre mid. Are you talking about Ugarte there? Well, we barely get to see Ugarte and Manu play together, so it is tough. But I'm going to be so real. When I've seen Ugarte and Manu play together on the very few occasions they have, and maybe they need a run of games, I've not been like, wow, this is the partnership that's going to take us to the top. It's never blown me away. United, sometimes I think, is it the system with the two-man midfield? It's so difficult. Any two-man midfield in there, I think, could struggle. And that's what I'm trying to get my head around, because no two-man midfield that I've ever seen in that system has blown me away. They always look somewhat exposed. And I was having this conversation with Ricky, and Conte managed to do it, didn't he, at Chelsea? But he had prime Matic and prime Kante. Like two of the best midfielders of the Premier League era in their prime, not Man United, like towards the end Matic. I'm talking prime Matic and prime Kante. I feel like that's the level of midfielders you need for this system to work in the Premier League. The midfield, there's only two of them there. Yes, the centre-backs should be pushing in. Yes, the wing-backs have got to help out. But it's always difficult when there's only two of you. So is it actually the calibre of the players we've got, or is it the system exposing them? I'm not sure. Lee Cape Town says, hi Beth, personally I don't care what Sky says. History has shown us if a club goes for Elliot Anderson in January, United will make that deal happen. It's just whether Anderson would risk it as well. With the World Cup coming up. I think he would. He's going to play United. He's outperforming our midfield. So he would play United. If United actually go in... Do you know what? If United go in for Elliot Anderson this January, I'm going to ask Ben more about this on Thursday, about what price he thinks, because he said he thinks significantly lower than 100. if United go in for Elliot Anderson in January and show a bit about him, I will applaud it. I will applaud it massively, because that's what we should be doing. We might not get it, but at least you're teeing up the deal for the summer. You're saying to Elliot Anderson, I want you, we rate you, you want to come straight into our midfield, welcome to our midfield, you're going to get in because you're fantastic, and we'll put the money down on the table for you right now. Will Forest take it? They won't want to, because they're in Europe. They might, if they're still in Europe then. And, you know, they're going to be fighting to move up the Premier League table. But everyone has got a price list. So United should show a bit about them and at least try for that deal. Why would you not try for it? If you don't ask, you don't get at the end of the day, do you? But on the goalkeeper situation with Ruben Amorim, this came out from James Ducker, like I just said, and it is this. If the goalkeeper decision had been left entirely to the manager this summer, he would have likely pushed for Emi Martinez over Seny Laamans. But Tony Cotton, United's goalkeeping scout, had been banging the drum for Laamans relentlessly to Wilcox for a year, and so far, at least the 18.1 million recruitment looks like a smart piece of business. Wilcox and the recruitment team are determined to prevent an overindulgence in transfers tail-wagging the dog. The signing of Andre Onana, who was free a year prior, was a prime example of Ten Hag's unchecked spending. Onana was a popular figure behind the scenes, but he was erratic and unpredictable, and the reality is he spread panic among the defenders and the wider team. Change was imperative. Laamans' United career is only 5 games old, but already the 23-year-old is a calm, reassuring presence and appears to be an upgrade. On that, sorry, I'm just going to have to block a comment that I'm ridiculously offended by in the comments. I mean, I can take a lot, but I can't take that. No name, because you don't have the confidence to show yourself. You're getting blocked. See you later. I never block people, but you're getting blocked. That is offensive to say that. To say that. If you saw it, you would have seen it. But regarding the goalkeepers, again, I think this is exactly what we need to be doing. The scouts should know more than us. The scouts should be able to influence a manager. I am all for this model. What was it? Jurgen Klopp wanted Brand at the time and then ended up with Mo Salah. I think that's a story that was, I mean, it was a while ago now, but that's who he was pushing for. But the recruitment team said Mo Salah's the guy. And look at what Mo Salah ended up doing. I heard the summer that Ten Hag got Andre Onana, Manchester United had everything lined up to go for Diogo Costa. But Ten Hag put his foot down and said, no, I want Andre Onana. And whatever Ten Hag said went under John Murtough. So you don't want to allow a manager complete power, because when it comes to recruitment, because they don't always have the time and the know-how to go and properly see all of these players, because they're so focused on their team, on their training, on winning matches. So when you look at what Manchester United are changing behind the scenes when it comes to recruitment, it's a good thing. And even myself as a fan, I am not over in Belgium every week watching Seny Laamans. I hadn't heard of Seny Laamans until Manchester United were linked to him. And I'm not afraid to say that. There's some players across Europe that I have the pleasure of watching. There's some players across the Premier League that I've watched a lot of that I will sit here and say, I think Manchester United should sign them because they look like the real deal. Mbeumo, I was watching him even in the Championship for Brentford when they came up. And then you follow his career throughout Brentford when they were in the Premier League. And you guys know, I was desperate for United to sign him for a long time. There's other players I've got wrong. Onana I got wrong. I'll hold my hands up and say it. There's other players that, you know, would be debatable. Not everyone has a 100% record. But as a fan, I sat here in the summer and was like, I'd rather go for Emi Martinez. Would he be my top choice? No. But he's experienced, he's won a World Cup, he's a leader, he can carry the weight of wearing the shirt, he's going to instill confidence in his back line, he's going to give a bit of that aggression that we kind of need going out for our team. So if you guys watch the shows, I was team go and get Emi Martinez. He's the experienced goalkeeper that Amorim wants for the now, and he's absolutely, without a doubt, going to be an upgrade on what we've got. I still think Emi Martinez is a really good goalkeeper. Saved that penalty, didn't he, at the weekend, but he's also made mistakes. He is mistake prone, some keepers are. But Seni Lammens has so far, fingers crossed, turned out to be the right choice. He's turned out to be the right choice because he was 18 million and Aston Villa were quoting 35-40 million for Emi Martinez. He's 23, whereas Emi Martinez is 33. 10 years on him. He could be our keeper for the next decade if we're lucky and he continues the way he is. He's still got so many more levels to go up because he's 23. He's got so much more to learn. His personality looks bob on. The recruitment team made the right decision. And we should have had more of this when Ten Hag was in charge. You should have had someone coming in and stepping in and saying, no, we're not going to go for Andre Onana, we're going to go for Diogo Costa. He's the one we've scouted, he's the one that we're going to go for. And our recruitment team know what they're talking about, Eric, so you're just going to have to deal with it. No, we're not going to go for this player, we're going to go for that player because this is who we've looked at. Whereas Ten Hag was just allowed to completely rule when it came to recruitment. Don't get me wrong, and he did miss out on a lot of his top choices. He wanted Cody Gakpo, he wanted Harry Kane, he wanted Frankie de Jong, and he ended up with different players. He did miss out a lot, but at the same time, I think we can all agree that Ten Hag's recruitment was absolutely poor. It let him down massively. I actually think as a coach and as a footballing coach, I actually think Ten Hag is still a good coach. And, you know, what he did in that first year, I thought we were going to be coming back, and then it just all kind of crumbled. His recruitment was terrible. And I think you can blame Ten Hag in that, and you can also blame Man United for who they had in charge behind the scenes. John Murtough was just nowhere near at the level what we needed as a director of football, and thankfully all that is changing now. And our recruitment, since Ineos came in, that is the one area where you can really say you have massively changed that and improved it at United. I look back to last summer and Lenny Yoro, good signing. De Ligt, very good signing. Mazraoui, hopefully he can stay fit for a bit longer, but really good signing, especially for what we paid for him. The only questionable one is Ugarte, really, because he was 50, 60 million pounds and still nowhere near the first 11, and Casemiro's ahead of him quite massively. And Zirkzee, I actually think is a bit of a baller. I rate him as, if you watch the shows you would know, but Amorim obviously doesn't fancy him. And then this summer, I think all look really good. And Sesko is for the future. Do I think we should have gone for an experienced striker in hindsight? If we wanted them for the now, which we do, yes. But also, I do think Sesko's got quality and I do think he will come good. So the recruitment has absolutely got better. With United every summer, it used to be like, can we find one that's done well? Now it's like, all of them are good. Some of them maybe could be slight improvements, but overall our recruitment has got a lot better under Ineos, and that's something I would praise them for. FDC says, wish we'd go for Ruben Neves, Premier League proven, lower transfer fee and would have depth to the squad. Don't think we will ever afford or risk Humlin. Yeah, Ruben Neves is someone who's come up a couple of times. I'll ask Ben about that on Thursday. I think we'd be going backwards. I do think Ruben Neves a couple of years ago would have been all over it. Now, I think it's too far gone, to be honest with you. But thank you for your super chats. Thank you very much for that and putting your opinion in. So many people wanted to know what the chat said. I think some people have revealed it in the comments. I'm not saying it live on air. Anyway, Zirkzee, just a bit more coming in from Sky. Joshua Zirkzee is high up on Everton's list of potential striker targets if he was to become available in January. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. I'll probably continue to say it. Give Joshua Zirkzee a chance. Give him a chance at Manchester United. Sesko, we don't know how long he's going to be injured for. Hopefully get an injury update on that soon. If so, you know, he's been given some opportunity to start the season. I think Zirkzee should be given a bit more opportunity. I think he earned that right towards the back end of last season when he was one of our best players, unfortunately, before he got injured. He's not an absolute bagsman. He's not a 20-goal a season poacher, but he's a good footballer. And I think he deserves a little bit more time. I'm not saying he's going to come in and absolutely break records and be the best player on the pitch, but he's got a really good first touch. He's got footballing intelligence. He can hold up the ball well. He can facilitate our other players like Cunha's and Mbeumo's. I think he deserves a bit more time. I think with our lack of depth up front, because my personal opinion is Cunha is way better in the 10 than he is as a number 9. He can play there, but his best ability is carrying the ball, which is linking up with the midfield and dropping into the number 10 role. Creative, and you know, them shots from outside the box, we all know how good he is in them. So Cunha's best attributes suit the 10 role. Mbeumo can play up front again, but I prefer him as a right-sided 10, linking up with Ahmad from that area. And Sesko is raw and potentially injured and, you know, can't take all of the burden as the number 9 on his own. Zirkzee needs more time, therefore I would keep him to have a little bit of depth. That's what I would do. And Mason Mount, of course, is always going to be an option, but again, another player that I think is better in the 10. So that's what I'd be going for. Sorry, not what I'd be going for. That's what I'd be thinking. As much as I understand Joshua Zirkzee wants to leave, and I actually think he'd, you know, him linking up with Jack Grealish and Ndiaye at Everton, I could see that happening. I could see him doing really well. I want to selfishly keep him at Manchester United because I think we need a little bit more depth across the season, especially if we're aiming for Champions League football, which we absolutely should be. Keel Robinson says, has Casemiro and Ugarte played 90 minutes together? Not under Amorim, I don't think, Keel. He played under Van Nistelrooy, I think. But I just don't think Amorim's going to do it. As much as I'd like to see it, I don't think Amorim will ever do that. Unfortunately, I know you want to see it, but I don't think he is, so I don't think there's any point in really talking about it. Gomez from Wolves, we were linked to him, but again, if they're in a relegation battle, will they let him go in January? Do we spend that much money on a player we might not be 100% on? Because Gomez or Anderson, I would then ask you, if Gomez is an option in January, do you go for it or do you wait? That's all the questions that need answering, but get your thoughts in the comments. Also, everyone, I don't know if it's been mentioned yet on a show, but tomorrow we are filming something very, very exciting. You need to make sure you get your questions in. If you could ask me, Ricky, Mauds, anything, and we had to answer 100% truthfully, what would you ask us? Has to be football related. Has to be football related before you get carried away. Get them in the comments as well. I'll be reading them through. We're shooting something so exciting and I cannot wait for you to see it. It's going to be great. Smash a like on the video if you're not already. While you're also getting your comments in, make sure you hit the link in the description and pre-order your United Stand Christmas jumper exclusive to the United Stand this Christmas 2025. I've just ordered my Christmas tree. I'm super excited. Get your Christmas jumper to go along with it. I can't wait to Christmasify our studio and get it all decorative and get the Christmas jumpers on. So make sure you pre-order yours and get your Christmas jumper so you can match us all and get in the spirit of Christmas. I've just been asked real or fake Christmas tree. Look, I love a real Christmas tree. Absolutely love one, but because I'm just moving into my new home, I'm getting a fake one for the back room. I'm eventually going to get a real one for the front room, but you can't. Thing is, I like to decorate very, very, very early. So if you get a real one now, by the time it hits Christmas, it's dead, basically. So what you do is you have your fake one up now, and then as it gets closer to the time, you get a real one to go as well. I just like to decorate at Christmas, and I like to get it done early. When's it acceptable to put your Christmas decorations up? We're gonna go on a tangent here. Gonna go on an absolute tangent. When do you get your Christmas decks up? My mum won't do it till 1st of December. I'm getting mine up next week. Anyway, get your Christmas jumpers. Thank you everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video if you've not already. Remember your questions for the panel. 100% honesty. I've got some absolute crackers. Is it too much? Actually, I won't. I'm not revealing them, but I have got some really good ones. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you on the next one.